So, welcome to a new webinar on retail trends. Today I have the honor to talk about connected retail, perhaps briefly introducing myself before we go to the presentation. My name is Carsten Keller. I work at Zalando in Berlin, and I'm responsible for an area called direct to consumer. This part of the business is actually taking care of connecting physical retail stores to our platform. And that is exactly what we want you to take away from today's webinar. It's really focused for you to understand how can I, as the owner of a physical store, how can I connect towards the customers of Zalando, and actually, especially during Corona times, but of course also after the crisis, then trade with these customers, interact with them, and really kind of go into a really effective and productive omnichannel environment. But as this could be a very a theoretical approach, I actually wanted to start this presentation with a story. And this story is founded on inspiration from growth in physical retail. And this story is about a friend. And this friend's name is John. Here on this picture, you can see John on the right-hand side. John, with his friends, founded a company in 2015 called Stadium Goods. Stadium Goods is a sneaker reseller. So essentially, John and his company buys sneakers from consumers, and they sell them to consumers, specifically collectors of sneakers. So that's his business. And when we were on a business trip in New York in 2016, rather at the end of 2016, we were wandering around in Soho, specifically in Howard Street. If anybody of you has ever been there, that's across the street from the Nike Lab store, cool part of the city. And as we were all sneakerheads, we ran into Stadium Goods, which you see here in the picture. This is also Stadium Goods, so this is it. They've got one store in this location. And at some point, we came to know John. He showed us his products. Then we talked a bit about Zalando. He showed us the company, which was essentially this store, and the basement, which was the warehouse of the company, and that's it. And we talked about his business. We liked his product. And essentially, at some point, we were asking, and John, what do you do with this business? He was actually just 8 months in business. And he said 40. And we were thinking 40 shoes per week or per day or per month or what the number is. But at least kind of it sounded as if it's something impressive. And he specified it was 14 million a year run rate. And that was pretty impressive because it was only one location, physical store with a smaller warehouse in the basement. So we were actually that impressed that we invited John to Berlin to join our bread and butter fair. And there he put up a stand. We asked him again when he was there, of course, how much is it now? It was 5 months more into the game, 13 months after the founding of the company. And he said 80. And we were still impressed with this. And then half a year later, 21 months into the company, he sent me this picture, 2017 then. And it was John on the stage of Singles Day of the Tmall platform, representing here on the right-hand side Stadium Goods, not only Stadium Goods, but Northern America. And he actually met Jack Ma and impressed him with the same story, and the story is true. So I texted back on WhatsApp, and he said $120 million turnover every year. So that was quite an impressive story of growth in physical retail. And the trick that John was using is he has one store, one warehouse, but he's actually selling on different platforms around the globe. So he started with Amazon in America, then went to Tmall in China, and then actually was eyeing Europe. John actually sold his business to Farfetch in 2018 for $250 million, only about 2 to 3 years after he founded the company. So that was actually a big success story, and the story of John. So if you look at how does growth in physical retail look when you look at Europe, then that's actually less promising. So Apologies for the not so tidy picture. The phrase here, every third, actually means that in a report or a survey, Capgemini at the time asked European consumers in every country, how many, if you are in front of the choice to really go to the high street on the Saturday afternoon or do the washing up, what would you do? And 1/3 of the Dutch customers said, I'd rather stay home and do the washing up. I think that's the same kind of, if you took a look at the numbers, and good news, same in Germany, and even worse in Sweden, where it was the worst value, which was 42% rather eyeing the washing up than going to the high street. But it tells a story. It is one of those things that actually physical retail was struggling with when it was looking at future of retail. And I think this number tells a story that there needs to be some change. We need to be more with our stores where the consumers are. Roughly at the same time, then in Europe, actually in 2008, a company was founded called Zalando. And it was founded in a small apartment in the middle of Berlin in the so-called Torstraße. What you see here on the picture is the founding team of Zalando. So on the right hand, the CTO, next to him, David Schneider, one of the founders, and Robert Gens in the background in the middle. These two guys founded it with this team. And what you also see is the man from the carrier from DHL in Germany with his yellow jacket, who was not looking so happy about all this because he actually had to carry away all those parcels. That was 2008, and Zalando was founded as a retailer. So we were buying goods from brands and then selling to our customer. 2015 was an important year for Zalando. So actually it was revolution. We decided to become a platform, and being a platform actually means that you open up. So the way we opened up was that we integrated, first of all, the brands into our platform with their own e-com warehouses in order to increase availability and make more product available to our consumers. That was the growth strategy we took in 2015, and that's exactly the strategy which we are still on, being a platform, being open to partners. But however, or regardless of the fact that we actually onboarded 2,000 brands, a range of problems still persists. Here's the first problem. So on a Saturday night, I'm oftentimes sitting on the couch with my wife, and she's actually looking through the Zalando catalog. And after a time, I see her being really happy because she found something she really likes. But then she comes to the point where she wants to look at the size chart and take the 36 and then go to the checkout. But the 36 is not available. And this is happening not only to my wife, it's happening 220 million times on the platform per year. Just that consumers don't find the product they just fell in love with and they don't get it. And that emotion behind that is pretty much to that picture. What we also have is that consumers see things in the streets, but we simply don't have them. So people are in love with something, they want to buy it on Zalando and they don't see it. So actually they will not have it. And that's not a good thing to do either. So that's wasting customer attention. The third thing is, if you're really in a rush, you're going to a party where everybody wants to wear lighted jackets, as in this picture, and you want to have it now, today, for the party tonight, then this is really difficult from a warehouse. That's a specific structural issue of online retail. So if you want to have it on the spot, we cannot help in most of the cases. And the last one is, if you get your product delivered, it's oftentimes coming from other places. So typically kind of from your country's warehouse, but we also have partner warehouses all across Europe down to Spain. So if you live in the north of Finland and you order an item which is in a warehouse in the south of Spain, then actually it travels quite a bit. And we've got a strong view on sustainability. We want to enable customers to be really to live a sustainable life. So it's uncool to get it shipped from all over Europe. Wouldn't it be better if we could ship it from just around the corner? So we were taking all those challenges that the platform obviously still had, and we're looking for new friends. So these new friends actually we found in a part of the industry which we didn't expect them to find. And these new friends are actually 300,000 physical stores spread all over Europe. This is like the offline space or the offline industry in fashion, footwear, and sportswear all across Europe. And this sector is actually the biggest in the world. these stores actually carry up to 15 billion items at any point in time, and it's a massively big space which actually houses these 15 billion items. We're thinking that actually could be something that we have these 300,000 stores actually integrated into our platform to ensure that we have the right supply. And the advantage of the stores, as opposed to warehouses, is very clear. They are just around the corner from the consumers. And we were thinking, if we connect these 300,000 stores, specifically today in Netherlands, if we connect them towards the 30 or more than 32 million customers on the Zalando platform, then this could actually be a very viable business. And this business we call Connected Retail. Connected Retail today is a ship from store solution. So if you run a physical store, you use Connected Retail to connect to our platform, then you can sell to our 32 million customers all across Europe. And actually, that's kind of the first iteration. But there's more to it. So once you have connected in the future, we will also enable click and collect. So we will send our customers, physical customers, to your physical location so that you can actually connect, provide advice and guidance for the customer and actually upsell. And there's another case which is interesting for customers, which is return in store. So returns are typically painful just because you buy something, you have it delivered home, and then you need to bring it back to a shop where you just drop it off, and then you need to wait for the next delivery. Wouldn't it be so much cooler if you as a consumer could go to the store just around the corner and exchange the product against one which actually fits your size? And there's actually more to this model. But this is Connected Retail, connecting physical stores to our platform. And Connected Retail actually comes as a win-win-win. So first of all, and it's most important because if the customer isn't happy, then nobody will be happy in the long run. So we said there are these customer problems: availability, not enough depth of product. Second, choice. So we don't have every product on the planet in our warehouses. Third, speed. So kind of it would be cool for the customer. We actually measured it as well. If you deliver a product on the same day, the Net Promoter Score, so the measure for happiness of customers, goes up by 17 percentage points, which you would need to build a lot of warehouses for in order to have the same impact on the customer satisfaction. So the customer is super happy with this and even lives a more sustainable life. For the retailers that are already doing it, they actually make their store more attractive. Why is that? So first of all, they are selling more products. They're generating significant amount of on-top revenues with the store they already have. Second, by the higher turn rate of the product, they actually renew their assortment more often during the season. That gives consumers on the high street, again, more reasons to come back more often. And third, it actually becomes more profitable because we charge a commission fee for this, but that entails everything. So the acquisition of the customer, all the supporting processes like the customer care when a consumer has questions, the support on the digital side. We bring all the different assets, the pictures and the description of the product. So everything is already there. And bottom line, you as a retailer are acting in this model more profitable than in your normal store operations. And lastly, and that's very important, whenever somebody tells you a model is a win-win-win, something needs to be wrong. But in this case, it is. So next to the customer and the retailer yourself, also Zalando, of course, benefits from it because ultimately the platform becomes more relevant for consumers to log into. So that's a great thing, and I think it's a win-win-win because it was overlooked or not enabled in the past. The retailers just simply didn't have the chance to log into proper platforms, and then actually they couldn't trade to the customers, make them more happy, and actually kind of propel the platform. So that's win-win-win, and we're super happy to be able to say that. So question for you now maybe, how do I get into this? Well, that's actually very simple. So first of all, step is, so we talk and then actually we connect. How do we do that? Well, we actually wanted to build a solution which is available to everybody. So that's available to a physical retailer that has one store and no IT department, but he has an ERP system to register his stock levels. That's it. You don't need more than that, an ERP system in your store. some digital form of the stock being kept. Most of the retailers actually have that. And then we made it very simple. We don't need to invest into IT and big projects. You simply kind of enable an export of a stock file, which is actually sent to us automatically every 15 minutes so that we know what is on offer in your store. And then we can tell our customers, okay, you can buy from this item from this store. That's step 0. And that actually works somewhere between 24 hours and maximum 14 days as of now. So that's very quick. Then what happens if a customer orders something on the Zalando platform? So this customer actually was eyeing a Timberland shoe for their kids, found them on the platform, selected the size, put it in the basket, checked out, paid. So we actually collected the payment also from the customer. And then this order is not routed to our warehouse, but it is routed into the store. So if you're already connected to Connected Retail, this is what you see. You log in into a website. So essentially what you need is a computer and a browser. And if you open the browser, you type in the website, you log in, and then you see this order overview. And here you see also the Timberland shoe, which was routed to your store. You see it, you print a pick list, you find the shoe in your store, then you return to your cash desk, put it into a parcel that can, here it's labeled Zalando, but it can easily also be labeled with your own credentials or a logo of your store or whatever you want to have. Put it into the parcel. System has printed out all delivery documents, the label that you put on top with the delivery address. You close it, that's it. Then you hand it over in the evening to the courier from PostNL. In the case of the Netherlands, they pick it up in your store. You don't need to go anywhere, as in this picture. Then the carrier brings the parcel as in a normal transaction to the customer, and then ideally the customer keeps the item, loves it, and the revenues are actually booked into your balance sheet. So that's it. This is how you make revenues on Connected Retail. It's that simple. However, many of you may have missed the relationship to the current crisis, no? And I wanted to tell you, first of all, or give you a positive image, because I think so many people have talked about so much about the Corona crisis that we're not looking into anything which is coming after the crisis. So Connected Retail was there before the crisis, it is there for you during the crisis, and it will be there after the crisis. But let's quickly talk about Corona and what that actually triggered. So actually, we put the headline catastrophe here. So what happened? Well, actually, first of all, this happened. Wuhan was shut down. Streets were empty. Everybody in Europe was thinking it's a phenomenon somewhere far away, not connected to our lives. But very shortly after that, we were proven wrong. And this happened. So everybody in Europe suddenly was only thinking about buying toilet paper, and nobody, and that was actually also hitting Zalando hard, was not thinking about evening dresses, about office wear. Nobody was talking about fashion anymore. It was toilet paper running out everywhere. And this happened, and then this happened. So the stores in Germany, for example, were locked down. In Netherlands were kept open, but the customers were not there anymore. And I think many of you have really kind of seen that as the biggest catastrophe in the history of retail. At least I've heard many retailers talk this way and being highly affected emotionally and rationally. So looking at this terrible crisis, we were thinking about our role in this, and we were thinking we want to be part of the solution. We were sure we cannot be the solution, but we want to be part of the solution. So what do friends do if they stand together? If they go through a crisis, they stand together. And that was really what we were thinking. That's a hard time. We were talking towards the retailers that were already connected to via Connected Retail. And what we learned from this was that you need to stand together side by side and go through the crisis together. So we were looking at the problems, and the problems were profitability, liquidity, and visibility. So main problem was the retailers really needed the money to cover the cost, but there was no customer in the store anymore that could help them to cover the cost. So therefore, that was a huge problem. So we connected a range of retailers and then did one big thing. We reduced the commission to 0. So we did not charge the retailers anything for bringing our customers and their demand into the Connected Retail stores. That actually was really important to the retailers, and I think did a big part of the deal. But doing profits is one thing. Getting the liquidity is an even more important thing. So we accelerated the payout of the revenues from a monthly rhythm to a weekly rhythm. Every single week, the retailers got the revenues transferred from the platform into their bank account. That helped a lot, we heard from the retailers. And the last one was making the retailers priority number one. So we did a range of things. We did social media campaigns showing the stories of the empty stores, but that actually then in some cases even survived the crisis via connected retail. We put the retailers frontline, so we gave them priority and visibility. Here you see the hashtag support the stores campaign, where there were landing pages on Zalando where only physical retailer products were shown on this landing page. And that was very prominent on the platform. And we onboarded additional products from the retailers to show even more of their product range. If you think about the win-win-win, clearly that is part of it. But here we clearly wanted to be part of the solution and then put these three levers. So ultimately what came out of this was that nowadays we're working together with more than 1,800 stores already, which are connected to the Zalando platform via connected retail. This is 1,800 stores that actually have delivered 1.6 parcels since the beginning of the lockdown, so since the 1st of April. 1.6 million parcels, now actually today almost running to 1.7 million parcels, which is, from my perspective, a crazy amount of transactions we've done. And it was a crazy success. And we've seen so many retailers come back and say, this was actually what we needed. We needed customers to buy, but we didn't have a website. Nowadays we can do it. So that was great. Why was it also cool to sell on the Zalando platform? So first of all, there was no commission, which is cool. But then Zalando also stands for a very high full price share. So we have more black price items on the platform than possibly any other platform in fashion. And that is, of course, kind of a huge lever in order to come out of this with a huge margin. That helped a lot. And another thing is full control. So you as a retailer on the platform using connected retail, you're the MC. It is your party. You decide which products you're selling. You decide which price you're charging. You decide which categories you're selling or which price points you don't want to sell. You are in full control and you can manage this the same way as your own website. What comes out of this, and as you may have learned at the beginning, is I rather think that stories actually tell the story and not the facts. So here the story is the story of Roman Degenhardt. Roman is a retailer who is actually trading in connected retail. What you see here is was a crazy moment about 2 to 3 weeks ago when we visited him for a store opening. So in the middle of the crisis, he opened a store in Marburg. And he celebrated also that he was sending more than 100,000 parcels with connected retail within the last 12 months. So since he started, it was actually 104,000 parcels that he had sent. So if you pile them all up, probably you will have like a height of the Mount Everest. But he was actually very happy. And almost 90% of our partners are very happy or happy with the model, with very few complaints about how it works, because it's actually very simple and productive. So now looking again at the COVID crisis, actually the crisis is not over. We all know that, but we should not be afraid of it if we team up to go through the crisis together. And what we did was to open the Netherlands as a market for connected retail already a few months ago. And we're super happy that we are here. It's a great collaboration with the first retailers that joined, but also here, knowing and recognizing that it's still a hard phase. We know that the customers are not back in the city centers. It's not easy to trade in these times. We actually wanted to make an offer for the second half year as well, specifically dedicated towards the Dutch retailers and the Dutch brands with retail stores. So the offer that we have contains 2 elements, or actually 3 elements if you want. First element is we maintain the 0 commission. So if you join today or anytime until the end of the year, you will have 3 months where we don't charge you any commission. And this will give you a time where you can try out this model without any risk, because you will for sure make profit on it. We will advise you, we will give you a personal key account manager that goes with you through the process of onboarding, and that will explain you which triggers you have to pull in order to be highly profitable in the model. But 3 months for free. This is like the most important thing. Then after this, you will have 2 months of a reduced commission. So here we will charge for every item under 40 euros. We will charge 1% out of the revenues, but of course only out of the revenues after return. So we will not charge anything if an article is returned. And for every article above 40 euros, we will charge 7%. I think that's something that you will not find in the market anywhere nowadays. And the last thing is, you will probably ask the question, what does that mean longer term? And longer term means kind of after the first 5 months. And our commission table is built in a way that we have lower commissions for low price points and slightly higher commissions for higher price points. This is because the profitability of lower price points, taking into account the delivery cost, is actually kind of more problematic. So therefore we charge less to make it profitable. And the average of all those price points is lower than anything that at least I know that you will find in the market. So from our perspective, that's also a long-term super attractive offer. You may ask kind of how does that all come together? How can I join? So as said, that's easy. It's a 5-step process. So first of all, I will show you a website in a second where you can log in, where you find all the information, and where you can just leave your email address, and we will do then step 1. We will reach out to you and say, hey, thanks for reaching out. I will explain how the model works. This is one of our sales colleagues who is there to lead you through the process, to explain the terms, to explain how the model works. The second step is then, okay, you've seen the contract, you know what the requirements are, everything works, and I can guarantee you it will work for everybody of you with limited effort and no investment at the beginning, and also not later. Everything that you will be charged in this model is variable. There are no hidden, no fixed cost in the model. So once you do this, we have explained to you, then you're actually on board. This is great. You're connected. Step 3. And step 4 comes right after this. We will give you guidance. So that's then our key account managers that will call you and explain you how do you trade in this model in the best possible way. You can, at the start, you can start with just a few orders where you say, I want to try it out. I don't want to undermine my normal store processes. So if you say, I only want to do 5 orders a day or 1 order a day, then start with that, try it out. And if you want to increase it then after a time, because you see it actually is pretty simple and easy, then they will help you to increase that number. It's very simple to do that in the system. And then once you've shipped the first parcel, step 5, it makes in your cash desk ka-ching, or whatever you in the Netherlands say when the cash desk is closed, and the first revenue is booked in your books. So this is something which is always true during the Corona times and afterwards. And here, this is where I also want to end the presentation is, this website actually gives you everything. And on the website, you can also kind of request that we reach out to you. You will see all the different documents that are somewhere in the process relevant, but I think the one thing you could do is just leave your email address on connectedretail.nl. Again, www.connectedretail.nl as here on the slide. And then our colleagues will reach out and explain the rest to you. I think let me stop here the presentation, and I think we can now go to the questions. Thank you so much for attending so far, and hopefully we can clarify some of your questions in a second. So my colleagues have already passed the questions that you filed in the chat here, and I will read them out and try to answer them as best as possible. So first question is coming from Marcel. Marcel is asking, are there already Dutch retailers connected with Zalando Connected Retail? Yes, Marcel, thank you for the question. Yes, there are. So we started a few months ago. Now we've got a triple-digit number of retailers already logged in. That is, on the one hand side, physical retailers like multi-label retail stores that are trading via connected retail. And we've got also branded stores like mono-label brand stores that are also trading via this model. Again, as said, we've got a good triple-digit number already trading in the model. So, and I think they're very happy, specifically now during the Corona times, because of course in April and May we had the same offer also with the 0% and the weekly payout. Maybe I need to also say that in the second half of the year we maintain the weekly payout, so you will get your revenues transferred every week to ensure that your liquidity is very high. Next question is, these 1,800 stores are divided over Europe, or are these connected stores only German retailers? So no, the two first countries that we enabled, so we started in Germany, and of course, given that we started in Germany 2 years ago, the by far biggest majority or vast majority of the 1,800 stores are housed in Germany. And as Netherlands is the second market that we opened a few months ago, as I said, a fair share of that is already going or operated in the Netherlands. The rest of the countries in Europe are now going online bit by bit. So we started the business in Spain, Poland, and Sweden on the 1st of July, now with the first retailers already trading there. Very strong start, so we've seen strong demand from the retailers in all those countries. But I think for today, it's the focus is clearly on the Dutch market, and we want to make sure that that you take away how does this work, and to grow the network of stores in the Netherlands together as soon as possible. Next question from Lieke is, are the results benefits from connected retail very different per partner? I think that clearly depends on how strong you as a partner want to leverage connected retail. So some of the partners are more in a pilot stage where they say, I want to try out. I do, first of all, a few orders in order to learn how it works. So that limits, of course, like the productivity. Then you've got other retailers on the other side of the spectrum that actually are very highly productive. So for example, Roman, that I just showed you a picture of on his opening of a new store. He actually can do up to 6,500 orders on a given day, so which is pretty amazing. And he also on some days actually completely uses that capacity. I think so for him it's like he's committed towards the model. He's also dedicating specific resources to it. And I think this is one key driver of it. The other driver of the performance of a store in the model is, of course, which product are you selling? But the good news was that the average store in connected retail over the last 3 months, just the number coming to my mind, did on average 20 orders a day, which I think is very healthy for a store to start with and then to build it out. And the other good news was that 50% typically of the assortment that the retailers have are already overlapping with the Zalando assortment. That means they don't need to do anything further than just transferring the EAN, the price, and the number of items they have in order to start trading. And that, I think, really defines that every store that has relevant items can easily be very successful on the Zalando Connected Retail program. Lieke, I hope that I answered the question in a proper way. But super happy to connect and give you also more guidance what the key factors are to make a store super productive on connected retail. Another question from Lieke is, and what's in it for Zalando, helping other retailers? So that's a very good question. I think it refers back to our win-win-win. So I think this whole model wouldn't make sense if it weren't a win-win-win. So ultimately, it needs to be great for the customer. If the customer is happy with it, it's already cool for Zalando. It needs to be good and great for the retailer, because if you as a retailer make a margin which is below your normal margin, maybe even negative, then you wouldn't do it. So we actually made sure that for the retailer, it comes out with a higher margin than in your normal operations. And for Zalando, of course, I mean, if you look at the availability problem that I defined, so having 220 million times when customers say, hey, I wanted to have this item, but I didn't find it in my size. Can you please help me? This is actually kind of probably one of the biggest drivers of customer dissatisfaction. So the first thing that is in for Zalando is if customers find what they want, they come back more often, which is cool. And you also, of course, see an impact on the overall basket of customers. That is also super good. And then I think it also lives up towards our sustainability ambition. So we really want to make a net positive impact on the planet in the future. We also defined our strategy very clearly, and that is clearly kind of a huge benefit for the sustainability aspect of the platform. If we can actually ship from the store next door to your delivery address, then that clearly is better for the planet and then better for what we aim for. But ultimately, it also comes down to numbers, Lika, of course, that's very clear. So as I said, the connected retail model is a commission-based model. We actually kind of become a matchmaker in this. So we kind of make the match between the customer who wants to buy something and the retailer that has the item. In this process, we're contributing a lot. So what we're giving is give our platform to connect to. We give our customer care services like our hotline. We collect the payments. We do take the pictures of all the articles that are being sold. We have developed the technology that you have on your laptop, then via the web on your laptop in the store. So there's a lot of things that we're actually doing, and that actually then accumulates into the commission, and the commission is actually our financial benefit from it. So if you take that all together, I think it's a strong win-win-win, and it's a strong win-win-win with strong returns, because so far it was technically not possible. So that hopefully answers the question. Francis is asking a question. If the orders, how do you decide which retailer can deliver? And for example, if you have two connected retailers near the customer, that's a very good question, Francis. So interestingly enough, this problem doesn't happen too often nowadays because we simply have too few retailers. No? So therefore, we're in the luxury position of not having to choose very strongly. However, we're very closely looking, of course, at how happy are customers with the deliveries of a specific store. So we're tracking the Net Promoter Score all the time. And we're tracking what are the delivery times, what are the cancellation rates a given store has, how fast does a store actually react when there's a return and tells us, hey, Zalando, you can release the money back to the customer. So these KPIs we're tracking. And if there's really kind of the situation where two retailers have the same item on offer in proximity to the customer, then the performance along those KPIs actually defines which retailer gets the order. And that is fully in line with our customer-centric way of doing business, just making sure that the best for the customer comes out, because if the customer is pleased, he will come back, and that's a benefit for the retailers and for Zalando as well. So hopefully having roughly answered that question as well, Francis. If there are any other questions in the room, then I think now is the time. We have 2 minutes left, so please share them in the chat. Or there's one more. Okay, then waiting for it. Dennis, thank you for the question. So the question of Dennis is, who decides for what price an item will be sold? If more than one retailer can deliver the product, and if Zalando also sells the product, will they always be first to deliver? So let me take it one by one. First of all, I think that's most important. I think you're not asking that, Dennis, but I think it's important to say it. The retailer yourself, you're in charge of defining the price. If you think this article should be sold at 100 euros, while the same article is available on Zalando at 60 euros, then you're the one defining the price for your item. So once we're sold out on these items, then actually your price of 100 kicks in. If two partners are actually then offering the same article, Dennis, I think that was your question, Then it's actually a combination of all the customer-centric KPIs like delivery time, like cancellation rate of the store, etc. Where then also the price, of course, plays a role. But the price on Zalando is an underrepresented KPI. So only during the discount phases, we look at the price. And these phases we call price mode. So in the price mode, when really kind of we say this is like discount phase, then actually the best price wins. And this is a huge opportunity to make a sell on Zalando, and players or retailers like Roman actually use this quite a lot in order to sell up to 100,000 items. Is there you win and you sit in front even our own warehouse if you have the lowest price. Then the other question, Dennis, that you had was, will we always be sitting first? No, kind of the answer is during price mode, you can sit first anyhow, because if you have the lowest price, then we will set you first even in front of us and in front of the brand. But also during Corona, for example, we did campaigns based on the regions of Germany. So take Bavaria, for example. If a retailer or if a customer clicked on the landing page, then you only saw the products from physical retailers from Bavaria. So that was sitting in front of everybody, in front of the brands, in front of Zalando, just because we wanted to give high visibility towards the retailers on the platform. So then it's probably more complex question, and I could probably give an even more complex answer, but I hope that answers the question roughly. Katerina has another question. Thank you, Katerina, for the question, first of all. And the question is, assuming a retailer has a product that does not sell yet on Zalando.com, your website says no article data inputs. Where do the product information come from? Very good question. So that is a problem that we surfed around for a bit of time. So the Connected Retail exists for 2 years. And for the first 2 years, we only focused on products that were overlapping with our Zalando assortment, if you want. Not because in that case, it was super easy just to get the EAN and then you could go live with the article. This you can always do in the future now, so that we will do forever. And then now we started to also onboard new brands and new products from existing brands that were not on the Zalando website. So there's a dedicated project for it. You can onboard products that you have a picture of, and then there's a manual portal where you can input all the master data, so the size and the material and the washing instructions and the likes. We're kind of not very exhaustive on this, so actually it works very well with the first retailers that we tried it out. And in order to facilitate it in the future, we're now also striking partnerships with other content providers that have already the pictures, that have already the master data, so that you don't need to do that manually. And here we lately struck a partnership with one big conglomerate in Germany that injected 600,000 shoe article data, so article data for 600,000 footwear articles. And that means whenever you come to the platform and have one of those articles, you can directly tap into it and you don't need to bring your own content anymore. So that's how we look into the future. Thank you so much, Katerina. I hope that answered the question and helps. I don't see any more questions in the chat. I would like to close here. Thank you so much for joining. I think hopefully that was helpful. We would be very happy if we could meet you on connectedretail.nl anytime soon. Our team will reach out. It's a very personal business, so therefore expect for the people to be there for you. And then hopefully we can start to trade together. Thank you so much for that, and asking Retail Trends to then close the webinar. Goodbye.